Hello everyone, today I will tell you the case study named The Dark Side of Customer Analytics. For the beginning, I will introduce the characters appear in this case. IFA is one of the largest sellers of life and health insurance in the United States. Subsense is a supermarket that possessed sophisticated data analysis methods and a particularly deep trove of information about its customers. Laura Brickman, the regional manager for West Coast operations of IFA, Steve Worthington, the analytics chef of Subsense. Some 14 months earlier, IFA and Subsense had joined forces in an intriguing venture. Laura for years had been interested in the idea of looking beyond the traditional sources of customer data that insurers typically use to set their premiums and develop their products. She read a lot about customer analytics, seeking to learn more about how organizations in other industries were wringing every last drop of value from their products and processes. Laura had read a profile of Subsense in a business publication. In the article, analytics chef Steve Worthington described how the organization employed a pattern-based approach to issuing coupons. Shortly after reading that article, Laura had invited Steve to her office in San Francisco and made him an offer. The insurer wanted to buy a small sample of the grocer's customer loyalty card data to determine its quality and reliability. With top management's blessing, Steve and his team had agreed to provide IFA with 10 years' worth of loyalty card data from customers in South Michigan, where Subsense had a high share of wallet. Several months after receiving the tapes, analysts at IFA ended up finding some fairly strong correlations between purchases of unhealthy products and medical claims. In response, Laura and her actuarial and sales teams conceived an offering called Smart Choice, a low-premium insurance plan aimed at IFA customers who didn't indulge. After that, Laura had a meeting with members of the senior team to discuss more about the deal with Subsense.
No data set is perfect, but based on what we have seen already, the Subsense info could be a really great source of insight for us. We can see the correlation between trends, fast and heart disease. No surprise there, I guess. How about this? Though households that purchase both bananas and cashews at least quarterly seems to show only a negligible risk of developing Parkinson's and MS.
This deal isn't really as much of a stretch as you might think. The company has for years been buying from information brokers lists of customers who purchase specific drugs and products. And if it was of the best one at evaluating external sources of data to predict health problems. But if we are finding patterns where our rivals are not even looking, if we are coming up with proprietary health indicators, well, that would be a huge hurdle for everyone else to get over.
Look at Progressive Insurance. People think this got into different response. Progressive had gotten the rate right. It were able to steal a mark on its rival simply by recognizing that not all motorcycle owners are created equal. Some ride hard like young bikers and some hardly rise like other middle class and midlife crisis riders. It's when all the business with the success by offering low premiums, and it doesn't look it shows on the more dangerous set.
Of course, the customer relied later might pay a higher premium when the company found out they routinely exceeded the speed limit, but that is not a legal problem.
Thinking that he has a great deal with IFA, Steve was hoping to persuade CEO Donna Greer and other members of the senior team to approve the terms of the data sale to IFA.
If the customers find out that we are using their data, they can stop using their cards and we'll stop getting the information that drives this whole trend.
I want to remind you that IFA had no interest in revealing its relationship with the grocer to customers. Furthermore, I haven't heard of anybody canceling paid on any of our other car-driven marketing programs.
The situation has changed now. Today, everyone knows that some companies will use the data of their customers to earn more profits. You also commented on some press about SoftSense embrace of customer analytics. As a result, nowadays, customers want to release the data as little as possible so they can cancel some service, often using their data.
I have an issue to concern. Would the data we share to AFI help the company identify individual consumers and employees of particular companies? I have to remind all of you that some big insurers have gotten into serious trouble because of their profiling practices.
IFA had been looking at this relationship only in the context of individual insurance customers. Besides, it's not like we could be directly drawing the risk pools.
Then Steve began outlining the 5-year returns ShopSense could realize from the deal. It was several days after the reveal of the ShopSense pilot, and Jason was still weighing the risks and benefits of taking this business relationship to the next stage. Jason was giddy about the number of meaningful correlations the analyst had turned up.
Exclusive access to substance data would give EFA a huge advantage compared to other competitors. It could also provide the insurer with proprietary insights into the food-related drivers of disease. The deal was certainly legal, and even in the court of public option, people understood that insurers has to perform risk analysis. But what if EFA took the pilot to the next level and found out something that maybe it was better off not knowing?
Donna Greer and her husband were attending a wine tasting hosted by a friend, but despite the lively part of the event and the plentiful food, Donna couldn't keep her mind off the IFA deal.
The big question is, should we be charging more? ShopSense were already selling its scanner data to syndicators, and my CFO has reminded me that the company currently made more money from selling information than from selling meat. Going forward, all ShopSense would have to do was send IFA some tapes each month and collect $1 million annually of pure profit. But this deal still had risks. By selling the information to IFA, it might end up diluting or destroying valuable and hard-won customer relationships.
I'll go on record as being against the whole thing. Some poor sell burnt potato chips in the cart instead of the celeries, and look what happened.
But what about the poor soul who buys the celery and still has to pay a fortune for medical coverage? Because the premiums are set based on the people who can't eat just one?
Isn't that the whole point of insurance?
I had to send an email to Steve when he get home.
The question is, how can these companies leverage the customer data responsibly?